Everyone thinks they understand the Civil War in Skyrim, but most of them are wrong. The war tearing Skyrim apart? It's a lie. The Empire fights a managed defeat while refusing the one strategy that could save humanity. Total defiance. The path they won't even consider. And when did it begin? Forget Ulfric shouting the High King to death. Go back 2 centuries. Martin Septim saved the world from Mehrunes Dagon, yes, but his sacrifice shattered the covenant between man and divinity. That ancient pact gave emperors their power. Without it, the Mede dynasty became nothing but swords holding together an empire built on faith. The Aldmeri Dominion filled that spiritual void. What looks like a civil war in Skyrim is actually the final collapse of something that broke 200 years ago. We're about to expose the one strategy the Thalmor are terrified of.
Hey, you're finally awake. You were trying to cross the border, right? Walked right into that Imperial ambush, same as us.
Understanding Skyrim's bleeding requires examining the treaty that supposedly ended the Great War. The Empire calls it peace, but here's the reality. The Aldmeri Dominion sacked the Imperial City. Emperor Titus Bede II rallied for one desperate counterattack. The Battle of the Red Ring threw the elves out of the Heartland at devastating cost. According to the book The Great War, not a single legion had more than half its soldiers fit for duty. The Imperial armies were broken. In the 4th Era 175, Titus Bede II signed the White Gold Concordat. The terms cut deep. Most controversial were the Talos ban and the concession of southern Hammerfell. Here's what should enrage you. These were the exact terms offered 5 years earlier, before anyone died. The Empire sacrificed tens of thousands to crawl back and accept the original ultimatum. By the 4th Era 175, the book admits that most of the Empire welcomed peace at almost any price. The Thalmor think in centuries. Land and gold meant little. They wanted to plant something that would rot the Empire from within. The Thalmor weren't just banning a god, they were testing a theory about reality itself. That seed was the Talos ban. Why target Talos worship specifically? Calculated psychological warfare aimed directly at Skyrim. Nords worship their true sons of Skyrim, the mortal who achieved godhood. Imperial legions enforcing the ban transforms the Empire into an agent of elven oppression. Every Nord faces an impossible choice between Empire and God. General Tilius walks straight into this trap. A capable commander, sure, but fighting the wrong war entirely. And this is his own admission.
But I wasn't sent to Skyrim to fight dragons. My job is to quell this rebellion, and I intend to do just that. Dragons or no dragons.
He sees rebellion needing discipline. Meanwhile, every Stormcloak he kills proves Ulfric's point about Imperial tyranny. Every Talos shrine destroyed under his watch confirms the Empire protects blasphemy. The Empire has become the Dominion's most valuable tool. It keeps provinces stable enough for taxation while preventing any threat to Elven supremacy. Imperial legions destroy the Dominion's most passionate enemies for them. The Empire didn't just trade land for time, it traded its very soul for a few more years on life support. But one nation faced those same terms and chose differently, abandoned, outnumbered, and they won anyway. The Red Guards of Hammerfell rejected the White Gold Concordat outright. Their homeland would remain free. Emperor Titus Bede II's response reveals everything. The Emperor was forced to officially renounce Hammerfell as an imperial province. The Red Guards saw betrayal where the Thalmor saw opportunity. An isolated Hammerfell should have crumbled. Instead, they got 5 years of masterful resistance. For centuries, Hammerfell had been divided between traditionalist crowns and cosmopolitan forebears. Perpetual conflict made them controllable. The Dominion strategists counted on this continuing. At first, the math worked. Disunited forces offered weak resistance while Dominion armies swept the southern coast. Then 4th Era 173 changed everything. A forebear army from Sentinel marched to defend the crown city of Hegath. This single act would rewrite the rules of the entire war. It proved something fundamental. Being Red Guard mattered more than political allegiance. Facing Elven extermination, old rivalries evaporated. The threat united them in ways Imperial rule never could. United Red Guards rewrote warfare's rules. Forget meeting Dominion's legions in open battle, they created their own game using desert and determination. Territory became bait. They lured Aldmeri armies deeper into the Alik'r, where supply lines stretched and battle mages wilted. Native Redguards turned their homeland into a weapon through ambushes and raids. Occupation became more expensive than victory was worth. 5 years broke the Dominion. The Second Treaty of Stros M'Kai in the Fourth Era 180 meant complete Aldmeri withdrawal. Hammerfell stood alone and won. They proved willing humans could defeat the Aldmeri Dominion. They wrote the playbook. Now Skyrim has everything needed to run that same strategy, but the Thalmor learned from their desert defeat. Their secret weapon this time was Ulfric Stormcloak himself. But what do you think would have happened if the Empire had backed Hammerfell instead of abandoning them? Drop your alternate history in the comments. The parallels scream at you. Skyrim mirrors Hammerfell, ice instead of sand, mountains replacing deserts, Jarls feuding like ancient crowns and forebears, fanatical Talos devotion matching Yalkudan warrior traditions. Every ingredient for another Redguard victory exists. The Thalmor see this clearer than anyone. They fear another Hammerfell, so they engineered something cruelly brilliant. Why defeat the rebellion when you can sustain it forever? Turn Skyrim's warrior spirit into self-destruction. The Thalmor embassy holds their dossier on Ulfric Stormcloak.
We're fighting because we're done bleeding for an empire that won't bleed for us. Untold numbers of Nords died defending the empire against the Dominion. And for what? Skyrim being sold to the Thalmor so the emperor could keep his throne. We're fighting because our own Jarls, once strong, wise men, have become fearful and blind to the people's suffering. We're fighting because Skyrim needs heroes, and there's no one else but us.
This internal strategic assessment calls him an asset. Direct contact remains a possibility under extreme circumstances, but in general, the asset should be considered dormant.
By Nord custom, once the challenge was issued in court, Torek had no choice but to accept. Had he not, Ulfric would have had cause to call a new moot and a new vote for High King.
Let's be clear, Ulfric isn't a willing traitor. He despises the Thalmor, yet he remains their asset. During the Great War, they captured him, broke him with lies about his confession being crucial in the capture of the Imperial City. The city had already fallen. The lie shattered his spirit and installed burning need for redemption. They weaponized a patriot, his love for Skyrim, his pride, his hatred of Imperial weakness, all aimed at Imperial power. Ulfric's sincerity makes him valuable. His righteous war serves the Thalmor better than spies ever could. Victory for either side would be a disaster. The dossier confirms. A Stormcloak victory is also to be avoided. However, so even indirect aid to the Stormcloaks must be carefully managed. As long as the Civil War proceeds in its current indecisive fashion, we should remain hands-off. I call this the World Eater's Gambit. Keep the war burning without resolution. The Empire bleeds legions while Nords grind each other to dust. Both enemies weaken as the Dominion watches. Ulfric's tragedy isn't that he's a traitor, it's that he's the perfect patriot, and the Thalmor are pulling the strings of his patriotism like a puppeteer. He pulls them himself, moving where they want while believing he controls his fate. His war gifts victory to his most hated enemies. But one radical move breaks their strategy completely, something the Empire refuses to consider. The Empire cannot win Skyrim. Their victory means reimposing the White Gold Concordant, exactly the Thalmor design. Imperial success guarantees quiet defeat continues, with Justiciars policing Nord Templars under Imperial protection. Breaking this requires overturning everything. The Thalmor dossier explicitly says Stormcloak victory must be avoided. But why the terror? The bleeding stops. Nord unity under anti-Thalmor leadership emerges. Both Imperial and Thalmor influence gets expelled permanently. Strategic secession becomes step one of the Hammerfell strategy. Free, battle-hardened Skyrim terrifies the Thalmor. Picture the strategic implication. Here is where Hammerfell's lessons become prophecy. Skyrim and Hammerfell forming a military bloc. Two successful defiers of the Dominion creating humanity's new center of gravity in the north. The comfortable Dominion suddenly faces an unwinnable two-front war. But the stakes reach beyond military victory. The Thalmor believe mortal existence itself was a cosmic trick. Click here to see that theory. Their goal transcends conquest. They want to unmake reality and return to being timeless spirits.
I have every right to be at this negotiation. I need to ensure that nothing is agreed to here that violates the terms of the White Gold Concordat.
She's part of the Imperial delegation. You can't dictate who I bring to this council.
Talos embodies everything they despise. A mortal achieving godhood represents ultimate heresy. Some texts suggest Talos actually reinforces reality structure. Divine power as metaphysical support beam. And here is where they cash in that metaphysical bet they made with the Talos ban. The Thalmor wage war on existence itself. They dismantle creation's pillars one believer at a time. Free Skyrim becomes humanity's final defense line. Those Nords aren't choosing kings or borders, they're fighting for the world to continue existing. The Empire chose peace, got slow death. Hammerfell chose war and earned freedom. Skyrim stands at the crossroads now, their choice determining mankind's future. We've exposed the conspiracy. The Civil War serves Thalmor interest. The Empire acts as their unwitting tool. Salvation lies in the strategy they fear, independence leading to human unity. Remember that every dead Stormcloak equals Thalmor victory, every dead Imperial too. Humanity wins only by refusing to play their game. Thanks so much for watching, subscribe, drop a like, and to see me break down the darkest tragedy in Elden Ring Night Reign, click this video.